if you search for information online about the Avengers episode Invitation to a Killing, many sources will tell you that this was a 90-minute pilot episode designed to introduce the character of Tara King. While researching the storyline of Invitation to a Killing, before extensive reshoots turned it into Have Guns Will Haggle, I've begun wondering if this 90-minute pilot is true or a myth. The US broadcast slot. Production of the 5th series of the Avengers was in 2 blocks. The first block of 16 episodes were broadcast in the UK and the US between January and May 1967. Once the remaining 8 episodes, starring Diana Rigg, were completed, they were broadcast in the UK in late 1967. In the US, these 8 episodes were held back and packaged with a further 8 episodes starring Linda Thorson. This would give the US network a season of 16 new colour episodes to be broadcast in early 1968. Invitation to a Killing would have been the 9th episode, due for broadcast in March 1968. It seems highly improbable that a feature-length pilot episode would have been shown in the middle of a run. It also tells us that the episode was not a pilot in the strictest sense of the word. But that doesn't really prove anything on its own. Do we have anything more concrete? The auction page and the original script. One of the most frustrating aspects of researching these episodes of the Avengers is knowing that the original scripts do exist, but are in private hands. The script for Invitation to a Killing was sold through an online auction, and while the script isn't available, the auction listing is still available. From this, we have a small selection of photographs of the script itself, and most importantly, a description. This tells us that it is 69 pages long. This is what we would expect to see for a standard 50-minute episode, so this points to the episode being of a standard length. However, without access to the full document, we can't be sure if it's complete or if there are any sections missing. The South African radio adaptation. Between 1971 and 1973, Springbok Radio in South Africa broadcast a series of adaptations of Emma Peel and Tara King Avengers episodes. On the whole, these adaptations are very faithful to the original broadcast counterparts. There is one major exception. Instead of adapting the broadcast version, Have Guns Will Haggle, the radio version appears to be an adaptation of the original Invitation to a Killing script. The photos of the script on the auction website show page 1, which matches up with the first scene of the radio adaptation, showing Conrad hunting down his opponent using the FF-70, even down to the description of the peacocks. The adaptation also contains scenes that we know were filmed and cut from the broadcast version, including a scheme to infiltrate the ordnance factory under the cover of a model photoshoot. The radio version is the same length as many other adaptations, again pointing to this script being of a standard length. No obvious gaps. One thing we are fortunate to have from Invitation to a Killing is a number of production photographs. Many of these show us scenes that were dropped from the final episode but are found in the South African adaptation. What we don't have are photos that don't correspond to what we hear in the adaptation. This suggests to me that there are no scenes that we don't know about. There are of course some anomalies. For example, the models and photographer are shown in Steed's apartment, which is not a scene in the radio version, so it's possible that the scene was simplified for radio or that this photo was staged for purely publicity reasons. When considering that this would have been a 90-minute episode, we're dealing with 40 minutes worth of missing content. Surely we'd have more clues to scenes and storylines that are missing. But with all the material we do have, it seems that we have evidence of all the key scenes and plot points. Duration hyperbole. Finally, we have to consider the possibility of there being a little bit of exaggeration in telling the story from behind the scenes. Some sources have been quoted saying that the other John Bryce produced episodes of this time were over length, including the Great Britain crime, which was reportedly 10 minutes longer than it should have been. It's highly possible that Invitation to a Killing was similarly over long and needed editing ahead of broadcast. This is purely speculation, but it's possible that early edits of Invitation to a Killing were similarly 10 minutes too long, and the extensive reshoots were needed to help successfully abridge the story. That 10 minutes in the telling of the tale has been expanded and exaggerated over the years to make this a double-length episode. So, what does this all suggest? To me, it suggests that Invitation to a Killing was produced as a standard 50-minute episode, which may have come out as overlong after the initial filming and needed editing to get it down to time. The pieces of the script we have, the South African adaptation, strongly indicate that this was a standard 50-minute episode. Should the existing script ever become more widely available, then we will probably know for certain.